So this is episode 1 of the diary of the wife of the dying man. And this first episode is called Dead Man Walking, a Well Shuffling. So on Tuesday, the 16th of January, 2024, my husband was told that he had approximately 2 years left to live. And that was assuming that he actually undertook a third stem cell transplant, which the doctors were talking about him doing. So we had a whole conversation with the consultant about whether to have this transplant. Again, it's not a pleasant process. But when he told my husband that he would likely be dead within 12 months, if not, then really the decision was an easy one. So it was like 3 weeks of shit, 3 months of recovery to gain 12 months of life. Worth it? We thought it was worth it. He thought it was worth it. So before we went to the consultant, that appointment, we knew he would suggest another transplant because they'd mentioned it before. Mick had some spare stem cells, which is quite unusual because after having 2 transplants already, normally people don't have any stem cells left from when they were harvested some years ago. But he has. And so it felt like a bit of a no-brainer, really. And this is unusual because most people don't have stem cells left by then. So actually, it will give the clinic some great data for their research and information to help other people moving on. So Mick and I had a honest discussion at home before we went to the consultant appointment about what we would do when they suggested it. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure that I could go through it again after the drama of the last 2, which I will tell you about at some stage. But I knew that Mick would do whatever the consultant told him to because he's very traditional in his needs and he likes to go with the advice from the experts, not his wife, who apparently knows nothing about anything, even though I've sat through hours and hours and hours of appointments with the specialists, and I actually listen, not like him, who forgets what's been said the minute he walks out of the door. Men like that, people like that. I know it's difficult for people to take it all in, and that's why they always say never go to an appointment on your own. Always take somebody else with you because you never know. It's like Chinese whispers by the time you get home. Anyway, the point is that we agreed that we needed to know what the difference the extra transplant would make. And that is how we ended up with the information that he'd be dead this year if he didn't have it. So we were told we were high up on the waiting list. So once we decided we were definitely going to go ahead with it, or he was going to go ahead with it, I will say we a lot in this diary because although it's him going through the actual treatment and the illness, when you're married to somebody and you care for them like I do, it really is a we. I feel like I'm going through this as well. And although they're different challenges, we both have our challenges. But we were told that we were high up on the waiting list and that we'd probably be within 2 weeks. So that was fine. This was on the Tuesday. And on the Friday, we were called to say he'd be admitted on Sunday. So not very long at all. But, to be honest with us, it was like the sooner the better, really. We might as well get it over and done with. And we went home and we got a bag packed and had it there ready. Well, on the way home from the hospital, obviously there's lots of chat going on because this is the first time that we've ever actually had, some kind of time scale. Actually, anybody's actually said, you have only got a couple of years to live. And I was keen to understand what he was feeling. But as is just his usual way, he just said he was fine. It is what it is. That's what he says. It is what it is. It's hard to know what he's thinking and feeling because he rarely opens up about it. And I don't know what goes on inside his head a lot of the time. So I pushed a bit and I said to him, I wondered perhaps whether he might be feeling a bit scared. But he said, no, not at the moment. But maybe as the time got closer, then he might start feeling a bit scared about it. So anyway, then the conversation turned to, okay, so what would you like to do with these last 2 years? And it was really clear that he wanted to go on holiday. He wants to be in sunnier places. It wouldn't be adventurous traveling because he hasn't got the capability to do that with mobility issues anymore. But he just wanted to be, in the sun somewhere, enjoying it. So we got home and Mick uses a rollator at home. We call it a trolley because he can put stuff on it, his hostess trolley. Anyway, I wandered into the kitchen and he sort of came in behind me. And as he walked in slowly, which is impacted by the MS and that, he shuffled in and I'm calling out, dead man walking, dead man walking. We laughed. And he walked to the fridge and he got out a packet of chocolate biscuits. And I was giggled. I was like, oh, I see. So you're dying, so it's okay to stuff your face with biscuits, is it? So we had a bit of a giggle about all this. And this sort of banter went on for a while, with both of us enjoying the lightheartedness of the jokes. And, over the years, we've often joked about putting a pillow over his head to put him out of his misery and other such distasteful comments. And it works for us. It might not work for you, and it can feel appropriate sometimes when other people hear it, but it also gets us through those hard times, of which there have been many. So we spent lots of time this week talking about what we would do over the next 2 years, where we would go on holiday, what car would we have, would we get a dog, because he loves dogs. And it's actually very liberating to have been given that time scale, because it's really meant that we can seriously plan rather than just jogging along, not knowing if this shit life that we've got would go on for 2 years or 10 years. And, honestly, life has been a bit shit. I mean, we make the most of it, and we're really fortunate. We've got a lovely house, we've got a nice car, we've got enough money, we've got a supportive family. And he, of course, has got me. So, we are fortunate. We've made our fortune, of course, over the years, not fortune as in wealth, but, we are fortunate for the things that we've done. And we've had lots of adventures over our life. And in future episodes, I will talk to you about why you should live your dreams now and not put it off, because, Mick is absolute perfect example of that, where he won't be able to do things now. But, he's in a lot of pain all of the time. He's just, his back, his joints, his legs, his head, his neck, everything. He's in so much pain, and he copes with it really well. His mobility is poor because of the multiple sclerosis. His brain is slow. His coordination is really rubbish now. And all of this is from the MS, not the cancer. So the cancer will kill him, but the MS is what impacts his life. So what did we do? The first thing we did was we booked a cruise. We already have one booked for this year. That's June 2024, which was originally booked for last year, June 2023. But because he was going through chemo all of last year, we decided we didn't want to spend the money on a cruise and him not feel very well on it. So we just pushed it back for a year. And we're now going in June this year. And that was another reason to get this third stem cell transplant over and done as early as possible this year. So he'll be fit enough to go on it. So we've now got 2 cruises booked, because we've now booked another one for 2025. When we came home from that consultant's meeting and he said he wanted holidays, that's what we did. He loves cruising. It suits him because we can take wheelchairs, we can take mobility scooters. We've got a nice big room with a balcony, and we don't live far from Southampton docks, so we can go straight from Southampton. So it's perfect for him. So we booked another cruise. That was the first thing we did when we got home. So we've now got 2 cruises booked. It's really suitable for him. As I say, we don't live far from the port, so that was really good, and that was like ticked off the list. That's two holidays we've got booked straight away for over the next sort of 18 months. So we did lots of chat, and then on Sunday evening he was admitted to Southampton General Hospital, Ward C2. They're amazing down there. But he really did not want to go this time. He was extremely anxious. He really didn't want to go through it again, because he only went through it in September, so it was fresh in his mind. But now he was going through it again. So I just kept saying to him, 2 cruises, 2 cruises. And whenever he would got down about it, I'd be like, remember why you're doing this. Why? 2 cruises. You've got to be fit enough to go on 2 cruises. So if he wanted to go on 2 cruises, he had to have this treatment. So he was admitted at 7 o'clock on the Sunday evening. He's got his own room. I stayed until he settled. The nurses there are just fantastic at looking after him. And then I left about 9:30 p.m. with him looking rather sad and me feeling particularly guilty about leaving him. But, you have to go. You can't stay there all the time. But I have to say, it is nice to have the house to myself. And that rarely happens, because he's always there. So I went home and made the most of having the house to myself. So that is how we got to knowing that he had 2 years left to live. And that was dependent on this stem cell transplant that he is in having. So I'll catch up with you all about that in the next episode.